Honestly, I don't really think the Lakers will make a trade before training camp, but if they do, I'd move Gabe Vincent. Looking at their lineup, almost everyone else is more important than Vincent. Take Rui Hachimura, for example. He might be their best three-point shooter and should easily play over 20 minutes a game. Then there's Austin Reeves, who's basically their third scorer, another ball handler, and a versatile offensive piece. At center, they already have Deandre Ayton or Jackson Hayes holding it down. Even someone like Maxi Kleber gives them that power forward/center hybrid role, which nobody else on the team really covers. Jake LaRavia has the chance to become their only big three, and D-wing, which is valuable. And with Marcus Smart around, he already does the job Vincent used to. He's their top perimeter defender, the best at fighting through screens, a backup playmaker, and a two-way guard off the bench. Marcus Smart does that job better than Gabe Vincent ever could. That's not me saying Vincent is useless or can't help the team, but honestly his contract feels more valuable than his game right now. In other words, the Lakers could flip that deal into a better upgrade than what Vincent actually brings to the rotation. With that in mind, that's exactly what we're going to dive into, exploring trades that turn Vincent into someone more impactful. The Lakers need a stronger defensive piece, a sharper offensive weapon, or just a true two-way player who gives them more than Vincent does. Today we'll look at 3 trade ideas. So, let's start with the first one. This is more of a baseline move, something that wouldn't cost the Lakers much at all. It's with the Brooklyn Nets, the same team they dealt with recently in the Dorian Finney-Smith for D'Angelo Russell trade. The target here is Haywood Highsmith, a player they just traded for. Yes, he's coming off off-season surgery, but he's expected back by mid or late October, so he won't really miss much time. And honestly, he'd be a better fit in the rotation than Gabe Vincent for several reasons. First, Highsmith is simply a better 3 and D option. Vincent has a career three-point average under 35%, while Highsmith sits at 37%. Even more impressive, he's a career 41% shooter from the corners, including 2 straight seasons hitting 44% from that spot. That makes him far more reliable as a floor spacer. On top of that, Highsmith is the more versatile defender, both by the eye test and the numbers. Last season he posted a defensive BPM of plus 0.9 and holds a career mark of plus 0.8. Compared to Vincent's rating below 1. That's a clear upgrade. Vincent actually has a negative -1 defensive BPM rating. Not terrible but not good either, basically showing he's average and not much of a defensive playmaker, which Haywood Highsmith clearly does better. Highsmith isn't elite at creating turnovers, but he's still stronger than Vincent, averaging 1.3 steals per 36 minutes last season and showing good instincts as a pass deflector. The biggest upgrade, though, is his defensive versatility. While Vincent is limited to guarding point guards and smaller shooting guards, Highsmith can defend 1s, 2s, 3s, and even some 4s. That versatility is probably his best skill, and when you combine it with his reliable three-point shot, his corner shooting, his off-ball awareness, and his work ethic, he looks like the much better fit. For me, that trade makes sense and would absolutely be an upgrade over Vincent. And considering the Nets probably wouldn't demand much in return, the move feels realistic too. Since the Nets don't really need Highsmith and he's not part of their long-term future, I think they'd move him for something as cheap as a second-round pick. They already got a second-rounder just to take on his contract, so flipping him again for another pick makes sense. With Gabe Vincent's expiring deal, Brooklyn could even trade him again at the deadline, so it works on both sides. Yes, Highsmith might miss training camp or the start of the season, but the Lakers have Dalton Connect as a solid backup plan to cover those minutes. Even if Highsmith does miss a little time, which probably won't happen, he's still an upgrade over Vincent and worth the gamble. But if the Lakers want an even bigger upgrade, someone who adds more than Highsmith, then I'd look at Matisse Thybulle. We've talked about him before. He's with the Portland Trail Blazers, but clearly doesn't fit long-term. Last year he lost his role, missed a lot of time, and only appeared in 15 games total. That's why Matisse Thybulle has basically been replaced in Portland by guys like Shaedon Sharpe, Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, and now Drew Holiday. There just isn't much room for him in their rotation anymore, which makes him a strong trade candidate. If the Lakers packaged Gabe Vincent with some draft compensation, I'd be all for it. Something like Vincent plus a future first-round swap or even their 2032 second-round pick could get it done, and I'd be very interested in that deal. Yes, he only played 15 games last season, but I'm not concerned about his durability. Before that, he averaged about 65 games per year, so last season looks more like a fluke than a trend. He's only 28, so age and decline aren't factors here, and he hasn't suddenly become injury-prone. More importantly, Thybulle is still an elite defender when healthy, arguably a top 5 wing defender in the entire NBA. On defense, Matisse Thybulle is elite at taking on point-of-attack matchups and creating turnovers. Last season, even in limited minutes, he averaged 2.2 steals per game in just 21 minutes. Per 36, that's nearly 4 steals plus over 1 block, which is crazy production. He's a defensive pest in every way, on-ball, off-ball, in passing lanes. He simply disrupts everything. And he's quietly improved his shooting, too. In those 15 games, he hit 44% from 3 on 3.2 attempts a night, which is solid volume. Stretch that out and it's about 5.5 attempts per 36, showing real growth. Over the last 3 years, he's been over 36% from deep, which is above league average and proof his jumper is no longer a weakness. From that perspective, Thybulle has been both a better shooter and a far better defender than Gabe Vincent in each of the last 3 seasons. So if the Lakers can get him, and it wouldn't even cost that much, it's a move they should jump on. If it only takes a first-round pick swap and maybe a second-rounder, that's absolutely worth it, and enough to call Matisse Thybulle a clear upgrade over Gabe Vincent. He's more versatile defensively, takes on tougher assignments, and has become just as good, if not better, as a shooter. So yes, I really like the idea of landing Thybulle over Vincent. But if neither Thybulle nor Haywood Highsmith is available, or if the Lakers want to swing for a bigger and flashier trade, then someone like Ayo Dosunmu could be an option. He's younger and probably harder to get than the other two. But if he's on the market at the right price, I'd be interested. A deal like Gabe Vincent plus 2 future first-round pick swaps might be enough to get Chicago's attention. The Bulls are in such a weird spot right now. Rebuilding, stuck in the middle, nobody really knows what their long-term plan is. Honestly, I don't even think they know at this point. If Chicago would take that kind of trade package, even with a second-round pick added, I'd pull the trigger. On both ends of the floor, Ayo Dosunmu would be an upgrade over Gabe Vincent. Defensively, they're pretty close, but when Dosunmu is locked in, he's a strong and reliable defender. Offensively, though, he's a major step up. Scoring, playmaking, and shooting, he beats Vincent across the board. Unlike Matisse Thybulle or Haywood Highsmith, Dosunmu is also a much better scoring option, coming off a season averaging 12.3 points in about 30 minutes a game. He has untapped potential too. In a bigger role, he could realistically be a 6th man of the year candidate, or in a starting lineup he could serve as a steady 3rd or 4th option. And as a shooter, he's a 36.1% career three-point guy, which makes him a legitimate perimeter threat and more versatile offensively than Vincent has ever been. Dosunmu is also a solid three-point shooter, hitting 37.1% from the corners, and overall he's a well-rounded offensive weapon. He can finish at the rim, score in the mid-range, and hit from deep, just a crafty scorer all around. On defense, he's a committed player, and at 6 feet 5 inches he has the size to guard point guards, shooting guards, and even smaller wings. That versatility makes him really appealing. And to top it off, he fits the Luka Doncic timeline, so to speak. At only 25 years old, he's productive now but still has untapped upside. Honestly, Ayo Dosunmu would probably be my favorite trade target to swap for Gabe Vincent. That said, I'd still be happy landing any of Dosunmu, Thybulle, or Highsmith in exchange for Vincent. Yes, all of them would cost some draft compensation, but in Highsmith's case, probably nothing more than a first-round pick swap at most, and maybe even just a second-rounder. For Thybulle, the cost would be a little higher but still not outrageous. And at the top end, Ayo Dosunmu would probably take at least 2 future first-round pick swaps, maybe even a protected first-rounder, but even then I'd have interest. The point isn't that I dislike Gabe Vincent, it's just that he doesn't fill a real need for this team right now. If the Lakers can flip him for a player who adds more offense or defense, they shouldn't hesitate. So with that said, what do you think? Who would be your top trade target in exchange for Vincent? Is it one of the names I mentioned, or someone different? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. That's going to wrap things up for this one. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day or night.